I owe an apology to David Wilcock because in the video that you're about to see, which talks about David Wilcock parting ways with GAIA over some pretty major issues, I inadvertently mispronounced his name multiple times, and instead of trying to re-record the whole thing because it was really an off-the-cuff analysis that I think is very solid, I'm just issuing this apology up front. I'm sorry, Mr. Wilcock. I accidentally pronounced your name David Wilcox. I'm sure that he's had that mispronunciation a lot, and I know you don't care, but I just wanted to acknowledge this up front and say that it's totally inadvertent. I'm not trying to do it on purpose. In fact, in the video, I have a lot of nice things to say about David Wilcock. So watch the video, see what you think, and I'm going to jump in, by the way, somewhere in the video with some additional comments about the Ancient Civilizations broadcast. So watch, and here you go. There's a chasm opening up inside the metaphysical community. David Wilcock, who's a well-known author and speaker, and he's been the star of GAIA TV, which has, I don't know, something like 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers. David Wilcock has resigned from GAIA. And David Wilcock, I've got a copy of his resignation letter here. I'm going to go through some of the highlights. There are problems brewing inside GAIA, according to what Wilcock is writing about. And I just want to preface this by saying that David Wilcock is on the side of humanity. No matter what else you think of him, and I don't know him, I've never interviewed him, although I'd like to. I've never had him on my show, or he's not part of Real.video yet, although I hope he will start uploading videos because they'd be very popular. But he's clearly opposed to the global satanic Lucifarian forces. He's clearly on the side of humanity. And I think he's fully aware of the war for humanity, the war for our souls that's taking place right now. He knows about the infiltration of Hollywood and movies and videos and documentaries and the education system and government and the fake left-wing media. He knows how those institutions have been infiltrated by truly satanic forces, or what he calls Lucifarian forces. He knows that the global elite are into child sacrifice and child trafficking. And worse, things like I'm not even going to go into right now. He knows that all that is real, and he is trying to defeat the deep state, the global elite Luciferian cabal, the darkness on our planet. And David Wilcock is very clearly opposed to those things. And for that reason alone, he's someone who's worth listening to, even if you don't agree with everything he says. And you shouldn't agree with everything that anyone says if you're a critical thinker, right? You should always decide for yourself what's true, what's not true, or what you're willing to believe, or what resonates with your experience and your awakening, your own personal enlightenment, which is a journey, not just a destination, but a journey through these phases of awakening. So it saddens me to hear that there's all this drama and conflict between GAIA and David Wilcock. But I want to get into some of that because I think it's really, really important. And I just want to say, too, for the record, that years ago when GAIA was launching GAIA TV, when it was first getting off the ground, Jay Widener approached me and Ed Group, and we filmed, I don't know if it was a dozen episodes, something like that. Ed and I filmed some episodes for GAIA, and we finished that up, I don't know if that was 2012, I don't remember the year exactly. We did those episodes, and that was a lot of fun, and GAIA never treated me unfairly in any way, but I was never there. After those episodes, we stopped filming for GAIA because at that time they were having a lot of problems with their player. They had the, I think it was the Silverlight DRM system on there, which made it unplayable for most people, and they were just working out the technical glitches. And I thought, well, I'll wait until they work out their technical issues, and then I'll come back and maybe do some more with GAIA later on. Well, that day never came. I got busy doing other things and so on. So did Ed Group. So GAIA, I don't have a beef with anything that GAIA did to me. They treated me fairly, and Jay Widener, I got along with Jay great. And, Jay, I think, is a very dedicated person about awakening and enlightenment and so on. So I'm not in any way slamming GAIA or Jay Widener from my personal point of view. But David Wilcock says that GAIA has become essentially a Luciferian organization. And I want to get into that. This letter starts out, this is from David Wilcock. This is July 1st, 2018, to Kirsten Medvedich and Brad Warkins at GAIA. And this letter says, this letter is to inform you that I will be resigning from GAIA at the end of my term. I'm skipping over lots and lots of this because this is a very long letter. It prints out to, over a dozen pages. David Wilcock says there's a GAIA employee movement that has, he says he has nothing to do with that movement, but the movement is stirring up a lot of grievances inside the GAIA company. He acknowledges, quote, there are people who have been so deeply abused and crushed on the soul level that they feel no other choice but to cry out in agony. So he's describing a systematic, I guess you would call it abuse or torment inside the GAIA organization. He says, quote, there is a profoundly deep problem with the entire way in which GAIA is running. I do not believe it is fixable, nor do I wish to be involved in trying to fix it. He says, I have willfully ignored, he says, an enormous number of offensive, disrespectful, and abusive situations in order to do this job the last 6 years. So he seems to be indicating that he has seen some things that were highly disturbing to him and that he ignored them. And he says that this whole issue is being blown up in the public space and it's causing him, David, significant career damage, and it will get far worse, and that he's refusing to talk to any of the alleged employees or journalists who want to talk to him. So perhaps somebody's accusing him of something, I don't know. And let me just mention this, perhaps in defense of GAIA for a moment, it is difficult to run a large organization. It is very difficult. I run a large organization myself. Employees always have drama of some kind or another. Sometimes they invent their own drama. I don't know what's going on inside GAIA, but I do know that in every large organization, there's going to be some level of drama. There are always going to be people who think that they're not getting paid enough, or they don't have enough influence over the company, or enough power within the organization, and so on. So I don't know if that has anything to do with this. Just pointing that out there, that every large organization does have issues like, different kinds of issues. But continuing on with David Wilcock's letter, he says, the company attempted to upload a video to my YouTube channel that aggressively promotes Luciferianism, namely Season 1, Episode 1 of Ancient Civilizations. And he says, I was tricked into participating in a very religious program that I do not want to have any affiliation with. This show, he says, is literally saying that God is evil and that Lucifer is God. He says, the potential damage to my career, reputation, and physical safety from the existence of ancient civilizations on the GAIA network is massive. And he goes on to describe that he was taped and asked questions, and he said things on camera that were then, sounds like he's saying they were edited into a program out of context or without his consent, without his knowledge of what the program was all about. And he says that program is a pro-Luciferian program, and he wants nothing to do with that. And he says that GAIA had tried to push that program through his YouTube channel and promote it at the end of his other show, and that they were, in his words, they were deceptive in promoting this Luciferian agenda and attaching his name to it, attaching his reputation to it. And I can certainly understand his concern, because if you're a prominent personality, like I am and like he is and others, there are always people who are jealous, who are trying to destroy you. There are always people who are on the dark side, who are Luciferian worshipers or deep state operatives who are trying to bring you down, trying to discredit you, trying to set even sex traps. They're trying to entrap you in sex traps. Or they're trying to destroy your reputation. They're trying to sue you. They're trying to sometimes assassinate you. These things are real, okay? These things happen all the time. And the stories that I could tell you, off camera about what has happened, what attempts, stalking of me and the attempts against me, the attempts against Alex Jones, the infiltration of organizations, the stories, you wouldn't even believe it. You can't fathom it unless it's happened to you. And David Wilcock knows exactly what I'm talking about because he is a target of the deep state. I mean, think about it. He's out there saying that he opposes Luciferianism. He opposes the deep state takeover of the world that's being attempted right now, and he wants humans to be free. He wants them to be enlightened. He wants liberty. He's essentially a pro-liberty individual in the New Age movement or the metaphysical movement, depending on how you describe it. So David Wilcock knows a lot more than he's willing to say, and I know that because I'm in a similar situation in terms of public visibility and social influence and so on. He goes on to say that the Ancient Civilizations show went forward on the GAIA network despite my public attestations of the evidence that pedophilia, human sacrifice, cannibalism, and Luciferianism are being practiced in elite circles. See, he knows. This stuff is happening. Anyway, David Wilcock goes on to say the marketing and production of this Lucifer propaganda has continued unabated, he said, by GAIA. And this is why I'm not willing or able to allow GAIA access to my YouTube channel ever again. All sense of trust and honor has been destroyed, he says. In my opinion, he says, Ancient Civilizations is Luciferian propaganda disguised as entertainment. He says that Luciferianism is the religion of the elite globalist group that I oppose. Luciferianism is commonly used as an excuse for pedophilia, human sacrifice, cannibalism, genocidal aspirations, among other unsavory things. Luciferianism, he says, is already being blatantly promoted in Hollywood films, music videos, television shows, video games, and awards ceremonies. And he's right. I've even done videos and articles on this. If you look at the Super Bowl halftime celebrations, which always involve like Lady Gaga or Madonna or someone like that, almost every one of them is a Luciferian worship ceremony of Satan. I don't have time to go into that right now, but David Wilcock is absolutely right. The symbolism is blatant. It's all right in your face. And look for a story I did on Lady Gaga. Just go to naturalnews.com and you'll see some of the images from Super Bowl halftime, a couple years ago that are clearly worshiping Lucifer. And they do that as a national celebration of Lucifer to try to spread satanic dark energies across the entire population, everyone watching. They're trying to say that they're trying to make America worship Lucifer. And, right now, the deep state is being pushed back against. I mean, Trump won the election to try to halt evil. Hillary Clinton is practically a demon. She is, I can't even get into what she is. I'm not even sure that she's all human anymore because she's so evil and the things that she does are so evil. And the evil side of the cosmos is trying to put her into office and trying to silence all those voices of truth. And they're trying to take over and infest every system of communication, whether it's a broadcast company, a network channel, a news organization, you name it. I mean, the evil that is out there, it's beyond a civil war. It is a cosmic war happening right now, a spiritual war for the future of our souls and the future of humanity. And very few people are fully aware of the magnitude of this war that's happening right now. Very few people. David Wilcock is one of them, no doubt. And even he can't say what he fully knows, because I can't either. So there you go. Ancient Civilizations, he says, is tantamount to a legal and intellectual argument in favor of Lucifer. Every episode I watched of season 1 inevitably steered the viewer back to the idea that he says God is evil and Lucifer is good. That's what he says the episodes are putting out there. The company, he's talking about GAIA, represented itself to me as a positive spiritual organization that promotes health, wellness, transformation, and seeking truth. But then they flipped and they turned on that. He explains in this letter. He says, quote, to then edit Corey Good and me both into a show that aggressively attacks God as evil and Lucifer as good constitutes a breach of the contract I signed as an employee. So what he's saying is that he was misled by the company into thinking that this was an awakening, a health and spiritual development organization. And now he says that Ancient Civilizations has become Lucifarian, and they've edited him into the program without his consent, and that they are pushing evil. They are pushing the worship of Lucifer, and they're using his name and face and reputation in order to carry that out. That's what he's saying. Now, I would like to, the letter goes on and on. There's a lot more in here. He talks about the subscriber base of GAIA being 430,000 subscribers paying $10 a month each. That's, $4.3 million a month. And he says that Cosmic Disclosure, his show, has a 43% share of the audience, which means, if that's true, it means that GAIA is basically half, David Wilcock, almost half Cosmic Disclosure. And that's $1.8 million a month, accordingly, he says, for his show on GAIA, and yet, GAIA doesn't pay people very, very much. Finally, David Wilcock says, I would let my audience know that I was not involved in the writing or production of that episode. I was only asked certain questions in a taping without understanding how they would be used. And he says that when people find out about Ancient Civilizations, GAIA will appear to be a company that promotes and endorses a Luciferian agenda. Sorry for the interruption. I'm jumping in here to offer some comments because I've had a chance to watch Season 1, Episode 1 of Ancient Civilizations since recording the previous part that you've been watching. And David Wilcock is correct that episode has been edited to make it appear as if, or to say that, from the point of view of the episode, that humans were genetically engineered by some alien, like they said, lizard creature that they call Satan, which is the administrator of humankind. That's what they say. That's what the episode says. And I understand what he's saying now. When I first saw that he had written that, I was maybe a little bit skeptical. Like, I want to see this myself and see what he's talking about. The episode's very clear. The episode says that, there's a Sumerian text, and that the episode reinterprets the meaning of the serpent, and they're saying that the serpent is a friend of mankind, and that the serpent wasn't trying to give Eve the bite of an apple, was trying to teach Eve how to use tools. And they say that there's not really a God. They say that, in their words, that there's some kind of ancient alien civilization from planet Zorg or wherever that came to Earth and started the whole thing, started the species, and genetically engineered everybody to be a slave race. I don't know. It's pretty far out there. It's pretty crazy stuff. So, with that said, I'm going to return to my analysis, just saying, David Wilcock has a good point. Okay, that's what I'm confirming on this. He's got a good point. I've watched the episode, and he's exactly right. That's what the episode says. So I don't know who edited that episode at GAIA. I don't know if they have some weird agenda. It's almost like they should entitle that episode like Satan is your cosmic god or something, because that's what they're talking about. They're talking about like an alien Monsanto, engineering the human slave race, which is you, and that's your god or something. That's literally what the episode says. So, seems pretty nefarious to me. But you can make up your own mind. I suppose that's what this is all about. Is trying to brainstorm some ideas. But anyway, I'll go back. Sorry for the interruption. Go back to what I was saying before I saw the episode. So that's kind of the wrap of what David Wilcock says. Now, in the interest of fairness, I'd like to give GAIA an opportunity to respond to this, and also invite David Wilcock to post more follow-up information if he chooses to at real.video. So a couple of things here. I've launched real.video. It's the alternative to YouTube. My company funded it and controls it, and we endeavor for real.video to be a platform for human awakening and freedom of speech and the public debate of important ideas. There are already a lot of videos on there about UFOs, by the way, and other topics, natural healing. There's a Bible channel on there for God healing and things like that. There are many other types of channels on there right now. If David Wilcock is listening, I would say, join Real.video, post videos, and we will, we'll promote them for you. We'll put them into articles and we'll get them out there for you. But Real.video doesn't charge a subscription fee, so there's not a lot of money at stake. There's a good reason for this, and let me share some of my own philosophy for that for just a second. Every time that there are groups of people that get together with a lot of money at stake, we're talking like millions of dollars a month on GAIA. Every time that happens, in almost every case, there is drama, there is conflict, there is betrayal. Someone becomes a traitor in the organization, or there are groups of traitors, or there's a mutiny, or there's an overthrow, or there's sabotage, all these things. And I've seen that in other organizations. I've seen organizations get off the ground and start to become popular and then self-destruct. I've seen it, in some ways. I've even plugged some organizations in years past, although I'm a lot more careful today about what I will endorse or what I will do, what I will launch. Today, the reason that we don't want people to pay us money to view the videos is because we don't want Real.video to make money. We want it to simply exist in a sustainable way. We want it to pay for itself, and that's it. If the people have a platform and the public can view videos anonymously, remember this, anonymously means they're not logging in, they're not paying a subscription fee, we don't know their name, we don't know their home address, we don't know their credit card number, we don't know anything about the people viewing the videos. That's because we don't want to. We want an anonymous, protected, safe, private viewing experience for the public, because I know that the deep state, the evil operators inside the deep state, they will issue things like a subpoena to your company, and they'll say, we are subpoenaing your records, and they'll have an order that restricts you from talking about it publicly. So it's a gag order where you as a company can't even say that you are being forced essentially at gunpoint to turn over viewers' records to, let's say, the corrupt FBI or DOJ or whoever. These gag orders are used right now all across the industry. And I just figured, instead of dealing with that nonsense, I would just rather not know anything about our viewers. I want to have a zero knowledge situation about who our viewers are, what they viewed, where they are. I don't want to know their credit card numbers, nothing. And the same thing with our video content creators. Even though they have a login, to upload videos, I don't have a financial relationship with them, and I don't want one. We don't pay content creators. So we don't have their tax IDs. We don't have their social security numbers. We don't have W-9 forms. Why? Because I don't want to work for the IRS. So I don't want to work for the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the IRS, the DOJ, none of that. I just want to host videos for human awakening and just have the system pay for itself. That's what Real.video is about. And so, this is a creation after seeing so many disastrous implosions in other systems over the years where there was too much money at stake and too much power at stake and people were being surveilled, people were being tracked, all these things. And I hope GAIA doesn't implode. I'm glad GAIA exists. They've got a lot of good yoga programs and things like that. They got some pretty decent documentaries, and some of them even have audio that you can understand. The audio is so bad on some of those programs. I'm like, people, did you ever hear about a microphone? But just taking a little swipe at them there for some of that archival footage should have stayed in the archive. You know what I mean? But by and large, I'm glad GAIA exists. They offer a benefit to many people. So I don't want them to implode. But I also know that these kinds of organizations can implode and they can make tragic mistakes, and perhaps they've made one. I don't know all the details with David Wilcock. I don't know what's going to come out. But I'd like to give GAIA a chance to respond, and I'd also like to invite David Wilcock to respond also and post videos on Real.video. And I hope David Wilcock comes out of this okay and continues his important work, because he's an author, he's a lecturer, he's a curious being, and he's curious about our universe, and he's also clearly chosen the side of humanity. He rejects the darkness of the deep state. He rejects the global elite cabals. He rejects that. And so as far as I'm concerned, David Wilcock is welcome in our world, and he's welcome to use Real.video, and we will promote his videos if he chooses to post there. Last thing on all of this is that it's hard for you as a viewer to know the inner workings of what happens inside the industry unless you're actually in it. But in every industry, even in a new age healing industry, there can be, all kinds of dramas. There, the betrayal, the quest for power, and so on. And one of the reasons why I've chosen not to work with almost anyone, not to do network television, not to go on any cable network, not to join up with anybody, except InfoWars. I've got a show on InfoWars that airs every Sunday at 6 p.m. It's a 1-hour show called Counterthink. And that's the only partnership that I've chosen to do, and it's because there's no contracts, there's no payment, nothing. It's a free-form, trusted arrangement with InfoWars. It's so super clean, not even a contract. Alex didn't require me to sign anything. I didn't ask him to sign anything. It's just trust among patriots who are trying to wake people up. That's it. That's the kind of arrangement that I like. I will never sign a contract with a production company that puts me under their boot. And as David Wilcock is discovering right now, you sign a contract with a company like that, suddenly you don't have control anymore. As he says, they interviewed him, they took his words and they stuck him into a video that he says is Lucifarian. And now it's ruining his reputation, is what he's describing. I would never, that's why I don't sign contracts with production companies like that, because I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to be misrepresented about what I believe or what I'm promoting or what I stand for, which is life and liberty, happiness, awakening, the protection of knowledge, expanded consciousness, all these things that I stand for, that I've been consistently promoting year after year. I don't want to end up on some Lucifarian show like Wilcock says happened to him. And that's why I don't even trust really other platforms. YouTube banned my entire channel. And so I built my own channel, Real.video. I don't even trust using any other platform anymore, because if they have control over you, they can just cut you off just like that. And YouTube cut me off, and Google censored my website, for I think 6 days, one time, just blacklisted the whole domain. And Facebook, has cut us off from time to time for no reason. No reason. They just want to censor us. So I'm one of the few qualified people to build a platform that you can trust to be based on the passion for your freedom to express yourself, because I've been through the ringer myself. Real.video is not a platform about, just earning profits. It's not a platform about pushing a particular agenda. It's a platform to explore life and liberty and happiness, consciousness, healing, all these things that matter for our world, for the sustainability of human civilization. And I've been offered, buyouts before. The last one was like a $10 million buyout offer from Natural News, which of course I turned down because that's absurd. I'm not selling the platform here. What would be the point of having a lot of money if you live as a slave in an unfree world ruled by f***ing evil? What's the point of that? There's no, that it doesn't do any good to take money and live in a world of evil. The only fight that matters is the fight for expanded human consciousness, awareness, the fight for protection of life and liberty, protecting those things that are good, expanding freedom of expression, expanding the conversation about what is, how the universe works, the presence of the non-material universe, the human mind, not just the physical brain, but the mind, the resonance of the mind with other ideas, quantum physics, multiverse theory, all these things that need to be explored, but consciousness above all. Because the universe is far more mysterious than you could ever imagine. And I say that even as a scientist. I run a science lab, a mass spec instruments. I do food analytical testing with multiple millions of dollars worth of equipment now. It's a ISO accredited laboratory. I'm a scientist, but I also understand that the elements and the molecules are not what everything is made of, that there's more to life and there's more to consciousness than just physical matter or atomic particles or subatomic particles. I mean, there's more, because there's a part of you that is non-physical, and it interfaces with your physical brain, but it is not limited to your physical brain. And David Wilcock gets that. He understands there's more at stake here than just this physical world. This is a battle, in essence, for human expanded consciousness. This is a battle about taking humanity to the next level of the divine. And there are dark, insidious, destructive, death-dealing forces out there that are trying to halt this mass awakening at every level. And they are willing to do anything. They will lie, they will smear, they will defame. And those dark, dark forces, I mean, they run every institution. They run Wikipedia, which is a smear machine. They run the left-wing media. They run the academic institutions. They run the science institutions, which is built on fabricated lies for the most part. And I say that as a scientist. Most of what you see in the name of science is quackery. It's false. It's fabricated. These evil forces are trying to take over. And there are a few individuals, I think, like David Wilcock. Again, I don't know him that well, but from what I gather, I think he's one of these individuals who is out there just saying, you know what? I am not going to give in to this evil cabal. I am not giving in. I am not going to be associated with that Lucifarian message. I am not going to be part of this. Damn my career. Damn the money. Damn it. Damn all that stuff. Literally to hell, because I'm going to stand for God and the divine and the human spirit and human consciousness, no matter what it takes. Even if it destroys my physical life, I will be happy to live with my enlightened soul for the rest of eternity in this cosmos, knowing that I fought for the things that matter, for human consciousness, mass awakening, life, liberty, happiness, knowledge, all those things that matter. So I get it. I understand what David Wilcock is fighting for, because in many ways I'm fighting for the same things, just different journey to do that. So that's my take on all this, folks. Everything is at stake right now, not just our physical world, but our metaphysical world, our spiritual reality is at stake. The future of human freedom, not just human freedom, but the freedom of your soul is at stake. There was I'll wrap this up with this little anecdote. There was a book by a brain surgeon. I think his name was Ibn Alexander. And in this book, he was an atheist. He didn't believe in God or the spirit or anything. And he had a life after death experience. And he essentially died for days. And he had this incredible, vivid journey through the world of God and existence beyond this life. And remember, he was an atheist, so he didn't believe in any of this stuff, but he had this experience because of a rare brain infection that left him in a coma, kind of killed him, but allowed his body to come back. And he did come back, and he remembered all of this, and he wrote it in a book. And I remember one of the most outstanding sections of his book was saying that almost all of the cosmos is filled with love and goodness, but that there is one little corner of the cosmos that has the greatest concentration of evil of anywhere else. And that place is planet Earth. There is an infestation of evil here that's unprecedented in the entire cosmos. And that's because, as even Alexander talked about, and I've talked about, it's because this is a testing ground. This is a testing ground. Your life experience is so short, so comic almost, but it's a testing ground to see what you're made of. Are you the kind of person who will just easily give in to evil? When you go along with evil, the seduction of being famous and wealthy, as long as you go along with a Lucifarian agenda, because most people will choose that path if it is available to them, but a few people will resist it. A few people will resist at any cost. They will never ally themselves with Satan. They will never give in to evil forces. They will always stand for enlightenment and consciousness and healing and transparency, knowledge, all these things, truth. Those people are very hard to come by, very difficult to find. And the only thing that can make you one of those people is by you deciding to be one of those people yourself. Making that decision and then backing it up with an internal momentum to say that I will never be taken astray off this course. I will never give in to evil, even if it kills my physical body in this world. Because this is a short-term test. This lifetime is over in the blink of an eye. What matters is what you're recording on your soul for all of eternity, beyond this life, what you take to that next level of existence, because you're going to take the record of what you did here. You will be judged. You will judge yourself. And you will judge yourself with a vividness and a level of clarity that you never had at your disposal in this life. And you will see what you have done, and you will know whether you are a good person or an evil person. And sad to say, I think 80 to 90% of the scumbags walking around on this planet today have given in to evil. They've given in to the seduction. They are not willing to fight for the future of their soul or the future of enlightenment. Nothing. They just want the easy path. And they've joined the dark side. They're part of the global elite. They're part of the child trafficking rings. They're part of Hollywood. They're part of the, everything, the radical left-wing media that covers up for the pedophilia that's happening in Washington, D.C. 80 to 90% of the population, I think, they're already in bed with evil. And there may be 10 to 20% that refuse to do that. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully it should be obvious, of course, I consider myself among the 10 or 20%. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to continue fighting for enlightenment, consciousness, to resist evil, and to bring pathways for knowledge and enlightenment to other beings on our planet. That's why I've launched Real.video. That's why I publish 300 plus websites, including naturalnews.com, counterthink.com, and many others. I know a secret. It doesn't matter what happens to me physically in this lifetime. It's irrelevant. What matters is the decision that you make in your soul, in your spirit, because that decision is like a gemstone. That's what you take with you. That's what survives the death of every physical body. Physical bodies come and go. You come from the earth and you return to dust. You are a temporary animation of the physical elements of a planet imbued with a non-physical spirit, where your memory has been wiped because you're here for a test to find out who you really are. And you can't even do that test accurately if you remember how you got here. That's why we're born with no memories, I think. We're born with a fresh perspective, and through life, you find out who you are, and then you take that record with you. And there's going to be a lot of people disappointed at who they are, because when they die and they face that judgment and they see who they are, they're going to see an ugly, stinking demon in front of them in the mirror, because that's what they are. Many, many examples of that. But thankfully, there will be a few, who are like angels, some who are fighting for, I don't know if fighting's the right metaphor, but it is a fight. It's a battle, fighting for things that really matter in our world. I believe that most of you watching this are in that 10 to 20% as well. And so you and I will meet each other one day beyond this realm, if you think about it, because our souls are aligned on the same path. And I honor every person who's on that same path. Every person, bless you. I thank you. God thanks you. You're working for the divine. You are living in a society that despises you. You're living in a society that has turned to the dark side, a society full of hatred and violence and deception and insidiousness at every level, and yet you persist day to day doing what matters. And so I honor you and I bless you for your work. I ask for your continued support, and you'll see a lot more from me and many others, perhaps David Wilcock himself, at video websites like Real.video. So pray for our protection as well, and I pray for yours. Our work here is not yet complete. We have a lot more to accomplish here, and we have the dedication to do it because we've made that decision to pursue truth and to pursue enlightenment. And once you've made that decision, you will be hunted down by evil forces. You will be targeted even for physical assassination. But they can't take your soul from you unless you voluntarily surrender it to them. As I've said before, your soul is bulletproof. Your spirit is bulletproof. It can't even steal it from you. As long as you adhere to your principles, the divine principles of morality and ethics and honesty, there's nothing they can do to you that can take away from your true existence, which extends way beyond this world. So don't fear. Don't fear what happens to you in this world. Just pass the test. It's really as simple as that. Thanks for listening. Bless all of you. Take care. Thank you for watching. If you want to support our mission, visit us at healthrangerstore.com for the world's largest selection of lab-verified superfood and nutritional products for healthy living. It's at healthrangerstore.com.